Alright, for number 2, same deal here. We've got kind of a mixture of fractions and decimals, so it's going to be up to you what you want to do. If you want to change them all to decimals, that's fine. If you want to use all fractions, that's fine too, but I'm going to show you both ways that you can do it. So right now we've got decimal, whole number. That's the only thing that's going to mess us up right now. So I'm going to change that to what it is as a decimal. 2/5, 1/5, 5 goes into 120 times, so 1/5 is 0.20 or 0.20. So 2/5 is going to be 0.40, 0.40. So I'm just going to change this right here, and we can shorten it down and just do 0.4 would be fine. We could do it that way. Okay. So now all we have is the distributive property part to take care of first. 2/10 times 5 is just going to be one whole, because if I have 5 of 0.2 or 5 of 0.20, that's going to be one whole. So I can just times those together and get 1 xy. 0.2 times 6, well, 6 times 2 is 12, so we've got one decimal place to put in there, so that's going to be adding 1.2x, and then we've got the rest of the problem here. I've got plus 4/10 xy, and then I've got this guy, and I can already look at this and see that that's going to go just by itself at the end, so I just won't even put it up here. I'll just put it down here because we know that we don't have any other x to the second power, so I'll just put this. Okay, so now things to put together. That thing's got to go by itself because it only has x, so I'll put that right here, 1.2x. And then the other part we have to put together is just 1xy plus 4/10 xy, and 1 plus 4/10 is just 1 4/10, so it'll just be 1 4/10 xy. So just put 1.4 xy. That was a positive 1.2. And your final answer is 1.4 xy plus 1 2/10 x plus 3x to the second power. In a second here, I'll show you how to do it the fraction way. I would say for number 2, with the fraction way, it really shouldn't be too tough. The only decimal we have to change is this guy right here. 2/10 is exactly what it sounds like, is 2/10. So you could write 2/10, but also 2/10 would be the same as just writing 1/5, and that would be probably better because we already have a denominator of 5 here. So I would just stick with this and go with 1/5 here. So I'm just going to write 1/5 right here. Okay. Now, I would just change this to, how about 5 over 1, how about 6 over 1, and then 3 over 1. And then, I don't know, we probably could just make the denominators all the same and make them all 5. I think that would probably be another good way to go forward here. If I made the denominator 5 here, that would just be times 5 here and times 5 here, so that would just be 25/5 xy. If I made this 5, that would just be times 5 there, times 5 there, so that would be 30/5 xy in those parentheses. And then we'd still have our plus 2/5 y or xy plus, and then 3 over 1. If I make that 5, that would just be times 5 to make that denominator 5, so times 5. So that's going to be 15/5 x to the second power. Okay. So now we've got all our denominators the same. So we should be able to roll on this one. It shouldn't be too hard, I would think. So I'm timesing everything on the inside by 1/5. Okay, and remember, when you multiply a fraction, you just go straight across. So 1 times 25 is just going to be 25. 5 times 5 is just going to be 25, so it'd be xy plus, and then 1 times 30 is just going to be 30. 5 times 5 is going to be 25 xy. And then we have our extra parts here. we've got plus 2/5, and then we've got, or let me put the xy on there, xy, then we've got plus 15/5 x to the second power. Now, what I would do here, again, is get the denominators to be the same. And maybe we did too many steps before. Maybe we should have just waited till the end to make the denominators the same, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's really easy to make these denominators back to being 5. Okay, that would probably be the easiest thing to do, is just make these denominators back to 5. To get 25 to go back to 5, we would just have to divide by 5. Okay, so if I do 25 divided by 5, that's going to be 5. I have to do the same thing at the top. 25 divided by 5 is also 5. Okay, so I can have that now. Here, 25 divided by 5 is going to get us back to 5, so we'll do that. And then I'll divide the top by the same thing, still divide it by 5, and we'll have 6. Okay. And I looked up here and I messed up because that's just x right there. That's xy. So get rid of that right there. I'll get rid of that right there. Okay, now we're in good shape. Now if I look on here, looks like that's still going to go by itself. Okay, and since I can't put that with anything, I might as well just turn it back to a whole number if I can, which you definitely can. 15/5 would be the same as how many groups of 5 can you make, so that would be 3 wholes. So I'll just put that up here for my final answer here. That's going to be 3 x to the second power. Some more room here. So we just took care of that. And on here it looks like this is not going to be able to go with anything because it only has an x after it. And that would be 5 goes into 6 one time with 1 left over. So I will just put, let's see, so that would be 1 with 1 left over out of 5x. That's positive. Okay, we could do that. And if you notice, 1/5 is the same thing as 0.2. Like in the other question, we ended up with 1.2x. That's the same thing as this right here. So we're doing pretty well because we've got the same things. So that got rid of that. Now all we have left is 5 over 5xy, 2 over 5xy. If I add 5 over 5xy, 2 over 5xy, I get 7 over 5xy. I'll put this off to the side real quick because we're going to change it real quick. 7 over 5. 7 over 5 would be 5 goes into 7 one time with 2 left over out of 5 x, y. And there would be our final answer right up there at the top. Our other question had 3x to the second power in it. That's good. It had this because those two things are the same thing. And down here, this would be 1.2/5. Calculator, if you don't know what 2/5 would be, 2 divided by 5 is going to get you 0.4. That's just 1.4 xy. Now we've got the exact same thing as we had for the other problem.